Welcome to the Blockchain Hustler, your exclusive VIP pass to the world of Web3. On this show, we delve deep and get up close and personal with the most pioneering founders, leaders, celebrities, disruptors, and creators who are shaping the future of blockchain and cryptocurrency. We're bringing you an all-access pass to the minds and strategies of the most influential players in the blockchain industry. Buckle up, it's time to hustle. My name is Julieta Ose, and I'll be your host. On today's show, we'll be having a chat with Pax, the founder of Queens of Capital, the world's first money mindset management and cryptocurrency educational courses created by women for women. A success story in her own right to encountering the passion to inspire and teach women alike to take control of their personal finances. Welcome, Pax.
Hello, thank you so much, Julieta. Nice to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I think we'll be able to get some gems out. And I personally have a lot of questions for my personal sake to be asking you. It's really inspiring to see a woman in crypto doing so well. So yeah, really looking forward to diving in.
Thank you. I'm excited. Nervous and excited. It's all one. It's wonderful.
Yeah. No, this is a good thing. It means, it's important to you, right? And I think it's a good thing. So you've accomplished a hefty amount in a really short period of time. When would you say this turn of events started to take shape? When did you realize that finance was a topic of focus for you? And what would you say was the reasoning for that?
Well, I guess it wasn't an overnight thing, but I'd say probably my lucky break was when I was looking down the barrel of bankruptcy in my early 20s. I had a serious amount of debt, and it wasn't because I'd made bad choices. I was a spender. I was a huge spender. I'd traveled the world. I'd had a great time. And I returned to my home country of New Zealand, and this was back in 2010, and we suffered a huge series of earthquakes, lost my family home, literally had nothing. We had nothing. And I just had my suitcase of my stuff. And at the same time, a lot of credit card debt. And I just started a new business as a personal trainer. And so things were kind of like, survival mode. We're in survival mode for a really long time. And I remember sitting on my bed and I was looking at, I feel very ashamed of being in this position financially. And I was like, okay, I've got bankruptcy here, or I've got freedom here, and that is my highest value, and I just have to go for freedom no matter what it takes. And at that point I was like, okay, well, how do I do that? Because I have no money. And I thought, well, I just have to improve my relationship with money. Like, clearly there's a disconnect there. I just didn't have a healthy relationship with money. So I just created a ritual for myself, a daily ritual, and then I started a lot of personal development courses, and which cost money, of course, but, it's like, I just have to do something. I have to move forward. I have to take a step each day and commit to like a healthy financial recovery. Because also, like, having shame around finance, I knew was just not going to be good for me in the long run. Shame at all, like, we heap shame upon ourselves, let alone others heaping it upon us as well, and it's a really hard emotion to kind of break free from, I think. So I didn't want that. I didn't want to feel that way. And so this process kind of lasted a couple of years. And honestly, in that time, so much changed for me. So much, like just being able to recover from debt, heavy debt, and have a system whereby I was earning and saving, and I was able to invest a little bit. And, like, I had these money jars and I would just put little coins in there so that I felt like I was building this energy around money and so on. And it worked, it really, really did work. And I think because of this time, because it was a time of like real chaos in the city, and having to rebuild an entire city and people just kind of struggling. What I noticed as well was in my business, my personal training clients were now coming to me for longer periods of time and not wanting to do workouts. They just wanted to talk. They just wanted to offload what they were thinking and feeling. And so like business-wise, things evolved into life coaching, which is kind of like a natural progression, people wanting to just talk to you. And what happened then was I noticed the strongest correlation was between the way people spoke, like the language they used, and how they, like their self-concept, what they thought and felt about themselves had a direct impact on their health, their relationships, and their finances. And so I really just started getting into that because it was so juicy and interesting, unpacking, what people think and feel, and I don't know, I just love all that stuff, like the psycho side of it, as well as like the material side of it, and then the spiritual aspects of energy and frequency and all that sort of stuff. It's just all connected and so juicy, and I could talk for days on that. And so I was really committed to women particularly, despite the fact that I was also working with men at that time. But I've really felt for a long time that if women are afforded the opportunity to kind of to learn in the same way that men do about finance, we will collectively be better off, because women are actually very good at budgeting and managing money. They just perhaps don't know that they are, because we manage so much. We manage people, we manage little people and families and groceries and even discounts, and trying to make savings where we can. And I think we look at that and see it as a like low quality level of expertise around money, but it's not. It's actually golden and so valuable. And I think when we kind of get together and talk about it and kind of highlight those strengths that women have, there's a lot of benefit to that for the family, even adding in an extra income to the family, and being able to kind of like improve our communities and so on. And I think that actually, in the long run, when you think about it, is if we're adding that much more financial flow into like the economy of women as well, we're all going to be better off. Whole society is going to be better off.
Absolutely.
The extent of wealth and poverty can reduce, because it's an ever widening gap, but we should collectively be working on it, drawing in closer and becoming not such an extreme. And so I feel like I've got to do my part, because I did it for myself. So if I can help others to do it, then that's only a good thing, right? And I've got to feel purposeful in my work in order to continue doing it, to want to do it. So
wow,
that's the nutshell version.
Wow. Well, you're definitely bringing purpose, and it's really interesting when you mention your story. It's really hitting rock bottom, isn't it? And I find it's just a reoccurring story I keep hearing. It's people hitting rock bottom and then changing their lives in ways that you cannot imagine. And it's so inspiring when you just realize there is a way out. And like you mentioned, it's those small steps. It's not looking at the bigger picture straight away. It's just taking these small steps and slowly climbing out of that hole you're in.
And I think also realizing that you can,
self-belief.
Yeah, you can. We all can. And I mean, I think it was J.K. Rowling who said something like, I used rock bottom as the firm foundation upon which to, create my new life. And I think to that effect, and it's so true, because the only alternative is to literally lie down in that. And that's just there's no progress there, right? You have to keep moving forward.
Well, actually, I guess when you lie down, you start going even further back. You just start sinking further and further into that hole, and then it becomes even harder to come out.
Indeed.
So it's almost like you don't really have a choice. You've just got to go.
Exactly.
You've got to get up.
Yeah, we have a choice, but it's not. The other thing I think as well is perhaps people might need to know that there are others who are willing to help. So being able to ask for help is important as well. And there are people everywhere who would be willing to help, and that takes courage as well. But I think
it does.
For me, like in the work I'm doing, if being around, being able and open and available for people to ask for help, and even just on a small thing. And honestly, like with the Queens, I love us because we're just such a tight-knit community, and being some of the stuff we've done together and some of the problems we've overcome together, I'm just like, this is momentous, because these are things that I think if some of them had done on their own, might not have ever been resolved. But having the courage to say, hey, I've got a problem, can you help me? And we do it. It's just like, yes, high five. It's amazing. It just feels so
Wow.
good, because
Absolutely.
it's like, not only did you take the courage, because that's already a huge step, but we've managed to get it to solve this issue. And yeah, just love it. It's so good.
Oh, brilliant. I can't wait to dive into the Queens a bit later on. That's going to be really exciting. I think everyone's going to find that of huge value. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Okay, so that explains your kind of, step into the financial world. So then what is it that interested you about crypto? What is it about it that took your fancy? Was it the decentralization, the community? And how did you first hear about it? What was it?
Yeah. So I got into crypto before DeFi existed, really, as to what we know today. And even then, it's still burgeoning, right? My husband said to me, "Oh, should we buy some Bitcoin?" And I don't know, this is like 2016 maybe. And he was like, I wanted to buy some like a couple of years ago, but my brother said it was a Ponzi scheme, and his brother is a bank manager. I can see where he was coming from, right?
Right. Yeah,
Totally
that makes
old,
sense.
right? But it had, I mean, 2016, the price was still very good considering what Bitcoin started at. And I was like, oh yeah, let's have a look then. What is this? Coin malarkey. And so I managed to buy some, and it took me several days, and because
Mm,
this wasn't easy. I don't even know where. There was no like buy Bitcoin here. You couldn't go
right.
to a Bitcoin ATM, put it that way. There was no such thing. It was like one or two places that were easy to get into. And even then it was, you buy on your credit card, and you had to send your driver's license and all these things. And I thought, gosh, this is a
Mm,
bit weird. I've got to send them a photo of myself and my driver's license and passport and this. And I was like, and proof of my address and my signature. And I'm like, is this real? Is this fraud? Like, what is this? And yeah, I still did it, obviously. So I'm just going to give it a go. Um, yeah, and so I got some, and then it was there on our little wallet there, and I was like, okay, so now what? What do we do? Like, there was no evident utility yet.
mm,
It was just like, okay, this is cool. Now we have some of this thing that we don't know, you know. And then 2017 happened, which was this boom and bust, huge. And there were new coins, like so many new coins and tokens you could get into, and so many scams, because it was like, oh, let's ride this wave, and take advantage of people trying to onboard into this new
mm-hmm.
structure. And man, oh God, I think we got into a couple of multi-level marketing scams, that,
Oh.
you kind of buy into them, get your friends into them, and then all of a sudden there's nothing there and it's just gone. And you're like, okay, well,
Mm,
okay, so that's going to happen. And I think now scams are a little more sophisticated, but
mm,
certainly, there are alerts as to, what might be a scam and what might not be. But yeah, like I don't know, like 2020 was probably the clincher for me, because over the period between getting started in 2016 and then 2020 was, I just kind of dabbled a little bit, because I was just using Bitcoin as like an expansion of my investment portfolio, and I had stocks and ETFs and these sorts of things. But yeah, 2020 was the year that I got into Bitcoin derivatives. So I started trading options, and in 30 days with 3 positions only, I replaced my husband's entire annual income. And I was just like, babes, this is something. This thing's got legs, it's got real legs. So yeah, that was a game changer. And so yeah, at that time I just thought, like, this is the next best thing,
mm.
to getting started in all of those wonderful companies that we could have invested in had we known they were going to be big, like Facebook and Apple and Amazon. But Bitcoin and crypto in general is still in its infancy,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be for the
Absolutely.
next 5-10 years. You're still early. You're still
Yep.
early. And I think that's what's beautiful about it. It's like there's still plenty of time for people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that they've missed the boat on, you can still get started. And even though, I mean, look, Bitcoin is now It's under 20 grand, so still a good deal, people. But
Bye.
but it's obviously not going to be $100 anymore.
Yeah.
But I think moving forward, like, this is just a very exciting time. Very exciting time, and there's a lot that's going to be developed. I don't think we've seen really what Web3 is capable of, the totality of what's coming. But when you think of what was Web 1 and Web 2, like, that difference was momentous. Momentous. The fact that we walk around with watches and phones that we can pay with and we can communicate with, and like, just that alone is quite staggering. And I look at my 4-year-old and I go, wow, he is just gonna be like, he'll assume that this is what it was always like. But what's coming is, I just think, super exciting.
I really agree with you. I'm so excited. And I mean, I haven't been in crypto as long as you have, but even so, I'm so excited where this is going to go. I agree with you. We are still really early. And I really recommend people who haven't looked into it to look into it, to do some research, because it is so fascinating. And I mean, very brave of you for jumping on board in those early days. And so and like you mentioned, you went through a few scams and stuff. What would you say, though, allowed you to keep that faith, like in between 2017 to 2020, just before you started trading the options? What is it that allowed you to be like, no, I think there is something here, and not kind of, because I know there are individuals who they end up, going for a scam, and all of a sudden, it's like the whole of crypto is a scam. All of it's a scam. I want nothing to do with it. So what gave you that faith that, no, this is going to be something?
Yeah, that's such a great question. It's probably a continued thing, because it's easy to, like you say, just go, oh, I lost it, and therefore, it's all over or whatever. But I don't know. Again, maybe it's that resilience from back when I started just recovering debt. Or maybe it's seeing that if I can make money and I can lose money, then there's an opportunity there. Make it and lose it in the same thing, then there's room for something. You just have to kind of manage your risk appetite and things like that. And I mean, I've got a very high risk tolerance these days, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, there's something about it that's different. And I think, I always say, like, Bitcoin's my baby, because Bitcoin was the first thing I bought. That was the first thing I bought. That was like a big leap of faith for me, to get this weird thing that everybody told me was like, don't buy that. That is, and I'm like, but just a little bit, like, why not just a little bit?
Harm, yeah.
I'm like, I've spent more money on, heck, a plane ticket than Bitcoin, and or things that, MLM companies that didn't work out, or I've invested in this or that and it's not, and I'm like, well, why not just a little try? Like,
Yeah.
And over time, like, just seeing what happened in 2017, that volatility, and seeing then being around for the next bull run, which took Bitcoin up to nearly 70 grand, and you're kind of like, whoa, it can do that, and it can come all the way down, and and now that we've got some history, we've got evidence of cycles, and like, so I think this is, it just blows my mind that we're at the spark of something.
Yes.
We are witnessing the kernel, the beginning of, the embryo of this next, like, evolution of, like, not just the internet, but life as we know it.
Absolutely agree.
It's huge, and it seems like such a small thing, but my goodness, it's way bigger than that, for sure.
Yeah, we have no idea. Exciting times ahead. Exciting times ahead. So, I mean, like you mentioned, we're still early. What would you, what advice would you give someone who is looking to take that step in all that Web3 goodness?
Well, if it's purely like investing and that sort of thing, trading and so on, research first, a lot. There's so many beautiful YouTube channels, people sharing freely so much information. Do the courses, do the stuff. None of that was around when I started. Nothing was around. So, like starting now, you're at an advantage because there's a track record. People are willing to share, what they've learned. So that's one thing. And I think in terms of like Web3 in general, oh my goodness, the potential for growth of this market in terms of job opportunities, business opportunities, like changing the way that you live or work or, do community activities or whatever. Like there's just so much potential there. And I think anyone who's like looking for a career change, look no further, like there's space for so many different roles in what Web3 is going to become. So yeah, I feel like, there's even now I've seen crypto recruiting companies, people who are specifically looking for people to jump ship from traditional jobs into like a Web3 iteration, so to speak, and I just think that's wonderful. So yeah, do the research. If you're investing, definitely do a lot of learning first, and manage your risk appetite.
Great advice there. Fantastic advice. So a question that's quite current, I guess. How are you dealing with the current market conditions, and how would you advise others to stay calm? How are you staying calm? Because it's a time where, again, a lot of people are kind of jumping out.
Yeah, for sure. Again, I'm lucky because I've seen a few, but I'm focusing on other things, It's a really good time to clean up your financial house, It's a good time to do some personal development. It's a good time to kind of work on any scarcity mentality things, any habits that are not abundant, things that aren't serve you moving forward. It's also a time to get your assets into cold storage. I think that's a really good time. In fact, one of our queens was so grateful because some month ago I had shared, putting your assets, taking them off exchanges and putting them into your cold storage wallet. And that was just prior to FTX melting down. So things like that, like just be wise with, especially if you're not really a trader, because if you're a trader and you're shorting the market, that's one thing. But if you're not, then, take some time out, enjoy the good life. We've been traveling, we've visited 8 countries this year.
Wow.
We're having a wonderful time, family time, relaxation time, working on, the next thing for Queens. And so just doing all that sort of good stuff that, keeps the vibration high, and charting. So that I'm, checking what's happening in the market and, watching news in it and but not rushing into anything, Not panic.
That's it. Yeah, I think that's fantastic advice, just not to panic. And I always think it's a time for building,
Sure.
So it's where the money's really made.
Accumulate, exactly.
That's it. So why would you say women are more hesitant to jump into the world of crypto?
Yeah, it's probably something down to this whole male-dominated world of finance and maybe even technology. I think that can cause a lot of hesitation. Look, I failed high school mathematics, so I should be the last person to tell anyone about finance, I'm not an MIT graduate or anything like that. But that's what, I don't know, I think that would cause a lot of hesitation. People say, well, I'm not good at maths, or I'm not good at I don't understand cryptography and technology and things like this. It's like, no, those are all just self-limiting beliefs, because it doesn't matter. There is always someone who's going to show you how to get in, and how to do it safely. And that's my commitment to my queens, because it's so important. But I think otherwise, a hesitation around just you and your abilities shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be in the way of you getting involved, because eventually, things are going to move this way anyway. It's kind of like when we look back at technology and, even my parents, I remember them feeling hesitant about getting mobile phones and things like this, but it's like, and now they're, it's totally natural. So
Yeah.
we can always learn,
Mm.
we can always learn and take time. And I think there's no rush. We can take the time to practice and, read and research and so on. And not everyone has to be the next big thing in crypto. You can just be someone who is quietly, protecting your assets, and your financial future by, being diverse, and careful in where you put your money. And I do think that, I mean, this is probably somewhat controversial, but I do think that debanking to a certain degree is healthy. I think we need to be very careful about keeping everything stored in centralized entities.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what crypto brings us. It brings us the opportunity for both decentralized and centralized access to crypto assets. And, safe storage is certainly in your own custody. So, yeah.
Power to the people.
Indeed.
So you mentioned a little bit about your queens. What was the inspiration behind Queens of Capital? You have created an amazing platform and inspired many people. And I know you're going to be inspiring so many more. So just touch a bit more on what inspired you exactly to do that, and tell us a bit about it.
Sure. Thank you. So first, as I said, I was doing this life coaching, and a friend of mine in the UK was doing a series on women in finance. And I said, oh, look, you should just take all of my content that I use for these seminars and use it, because it's so great and you'll love it. And she was kind of like, oh, I'll need a bit of help with that. And so I ended up doing this webinar for her. Again, this was 2020, and it was so good and so fun and so wonderful. We just had such a great time, that I was kind of like, wow, this is a really great time to do this, because everyone was on Zoom during that time, right? We're all in our homes kind of going, well, what should we do? And so this was a way to kind of go, well, and also like, furloughs and stimulus packages and all this sort of stuff was happening. And people were kind of like, is my job safe? Is my business safe? Is my financial future safe? And what are we going to do? And so that, was kind of like taking what I was already doing in public and just turning it online. And then, interestingly, I then went and did a course myself online about crypto, and I didn't learn anything new. I met a great bunch of people, and I was just like, hang on a minute, I know some stuff. And it's only because I'd had some time in the bank, I'd already been around it for several years, and I thought, wow, I could teach this to my women. I could teach it to them and create something online. And this course I was doing online anyway, so I was like, wow, let's see. And then just like, because the idea had been planted, then I just had this download of what it's going to be and just dreamt it up, and I just worked at it. And I released the first Queendom program, which is the crypto and DeFi program. And at the same time, I was writing it week by week and recording it and doing it all in my living room and getting it up on the website as the queens were going through the content. And so it just, I don't know, it was like, this is my new favorite thing, this is wonderful. And so I already knew that, as I discovered that crypto was going very well for me with the trading and so on, and our financial future was not stable in terms of, we had a housing company and we weren't able to work, and things just weren't, they weren't as stable as they used to be. So I thought, being able to teach this and, also have it be my online business just was like music to my ears, because I get to do what I love every day with beautiful people, wonderful people who've become some of my most trusted friends around the world. And I get to travel around visiting, and, it's just like, it's wonderful. And we get to share being in this amazing, evolving market and learn so much together and just kind of be on top of it all. And Yeah, so that's kind of it just has evolved organically just by being in the space and talking with people.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. So how would you say your course differs from other crypto courses? Because as you mentioned, you've done a few in the past. There's many out there. What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done every course out there, so it's hard to say, but I would say that what I love the most about what we're doing is probably the royal boardroom, I call it. So
Mm,
our community, because I mean the content. Firstly, obviously, lifetime membership. It's a learning hub, so people have the videos and access to all their learning materials at all times, um, and the live calls that happen in between. And that's kind of like an ongoing. We just do that every week. Um, but yeah, the community that has formed is it's just blown my socks off. Like I love them. I love them all, and like the network that's I guess being cultivated is one of um such beautiful awareness about what this is. And people are coming in who haven't had anything to do with crypto or anything before,
mm,
but they have other areas of expertise and they're sharing that. And then there are people coming in who already are exposed to Web3 and crypto trading and all sorts of things, and they're sharing their experiences. And I think the richness of what's been cultivated with that tribe is it far outweighs the content. I mean, the content will change as we evolve in this industry, um, and that's great. But like, knowledge is nothing without the kind of application of it. And I think we're experiencing a lot of real life, tangible, life-changing stuff. And
mm.
it's just, yeah, I could never have anticipated that. And so the course is made up really, and the difference that is golden about it is the people who've joined it, hands down. I love it.
Amazing,
They're amazing.
amazing. So like you said, you have quite like a vast range of people there, people who don't know anything about crypto, people who do know a bit about crypto. So if I ask you, who would you say this crypto course is for? Would you really say pretty much just anyone who is looking to scrub up their finances and dive into crypto?
For sure. Certainly anyone who's a total newbie, because we
Mm-hmm.
cover all of that stuff, all the
Mm,
stuff from the basics.
mm-hmm.
People who have been scammed or lost in crypto, definitely, because obviously there's something wrong there. And then like obviously advanced. I mean, I'd say anyone who's already been in it for a year is probably advanced, because there's been a lot going on.
Mm,
Um, and so, we kind of cater to people who are kind of have a higher risk appetite and want to trade, heavily. So, and derivative markets and things as well, because those are more like advanced financial instruments. So yeah, we do cover that whole base. But it's for women, I've had many guys say to me, but what about us? Can you do a King's program? I'm like, guys, you got a lot of stuff. You got the whole world. Just go there. There's plenty of stuff for you. This is for us. This is our sacred space, and women with women are just a powerhouse. And so, and that's my commitment to my people, to the people that have shown me so much love and care. And I have a red tent. My red tent girls they've been my support network through the entire time of when I was facing bankruptcy to now, and through all of that, through motherhood or finding a husband and motherhood and all the stuff and business and everything. And I'm like, if I didn't have those women, I wouldn't be who I am today. And so I really see so much value in women bonding
mm.
and sharing together. I just think there's so much that can come out of it, so much good stuff. So yeah, so that is my commitment. So sorry guys, you'll have to do mentorship if you want a part of me. Yeah, it's get your girlfriends and your wives in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Um, so could you provide any examples of success stories or testimonials from your past students? I know you actually have some fantastic testimonials, video testimonials on your website, so people can go check that out. But yeah, any you'd like to mention?
I guess, yeah, without giving too much away, I could share one of the early problems that we'd solved was someone had lost crypto on an exchange, and it was kind of like they technically weren't there visible, but beauty of blockchain is they're always somewhere, and being able to work together and kind of get those coins back.
Wow.
So that was really
Very
cool. I
impressive.
was awesome to be able to persevere with that and overcome those challenges. And something else that I really was so happy about was someone had been asked to share their recovery phrase in a site to get some assets back as well. And that to me is always like a little alarm bell. And I'm like, you shouldn't be sharing your phrase with anyone anywhere. Like that's not a thing that should be happening. So I was like, I'm going to jump in there. Let me just get in and converse with this person and see. And they were like, oh, no, you're not going to share the phrase with me. You need to go to this website and, connect your wallet and so on. And then it's going to sort out your funds or something like that. And I remember going in there and I was sitting there and I was just like, oh, my spidey sense is tingling. Like this just doesn't feel right. And I was thinking, why would you be doing, like, it makes sense. What they're saying makes total sense because this has happened and you need to enter your phrase in order to get you. And I was thinking, but you shouldn't be entering it on a foreign website. It's like, And anyway, so then what happened was this person on Telegram was like, have you done it yet? And I was like, oh, this is definitely a scam. Because what do they care if I've done it yet? Like they said, you just go through the steps and it'll sort it out. But they were waiting for confirmation. And I was like, oh, I'm doing, I'm transferring the instructions to the person, and then I was like, let's get out of this straight away. And I went back and I said, by the way, they're not going through with it. I know that this is dirty and you will be reported. And all of a sudden that account was deleted, blocked, done, gone. Yep. And I was like, wow, how many people have they captured?
Oh, so many.
Again, the beauty of the tribe.
Yeah.
That, these small things, we can do them together. We do this a lot. We go through when there are questions and uncertainty, because also there's a lot of fear and uncertainty out there all the time. But during these occasions when, you're dealing with your own money, like, let's just be patient. Let's go through the steps. Let's go through our risk management. Let's, we do these things together so that we can help each other protect what's yours, like what's ours. So yeah, I'm really grateful for those sorts of testimonies because those are probably even better than the ones where, I invested in this and I made this much money. This is, I got out, I didn't get scammed. I managed to protect what's mine. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So you've touched on it a bit, but can you tell us a bit on what someone can expect jumping on one of your courses? Do you cover any strategies or best practices for investing in cryptocurrencies? Like, will someone literally be able to go and do everything that you're doing, everything that you spoke about by doing one of your courses?
Yeah, for sure. So I suppose in terms of like best practices, we do a lot of risk management, looking at taxation and, excuse me, legalities in your local area because that's ever changing. Yeah. And then like good wallet management, because man, I remember in the early days losing crypto. I could see it. I knew it was there, but I couldn't get to it because I had very poor wallet management and passphrase management. So we have our own system for that. So that's really cool. And then like we cover everything from just basic spot trading, like just buying with a credit card, or getting from a centralized exchange through to derivative markets, trading bots, DAOs and staking, liquidity pools, farming, like the works. And we have everything on a sliding scale of our risk matrix. So people can literally just go, I have a really low risk appetite or like none, kind of paper trade, and I'm going to try out these really low risk ones versus someone who's like, I've done it before, I've done that and that, and I want to learn something new, and it's kind of a mid to high range of risk. So, people can kind of work within their tolerance because it shouldn't all be like, just jump in and risk it all. And, no, it shouldn't be that. Like, it needs to be something that people feel comfortable with. And so we cater to all of that. So the course itself it's all there, but people don't have to do it all at once, like we go through the week and we go through the content and answer people's questions. But also if it's like, what, I watched the video and I looked at the activities and I decided that those steps weren't for me yet. I'm not going to do those things. And I think that's someone who's earning a really wonderful tick on their completion of course content, because they're actually working within their risk matrix. And I just think, their own tolerance. And I think that's brilliant. So yeah.
That is brilliant. So where do people find you? Where do people sign up? How do people get onto Queens of Capital and keep hearing more of this wonderful stuff from you?
Great. Well, we are at queensof.capital. We're a .capital, not a .com, because we are a financial education entity. So and basically there are 3 programs. So the Castle program is your foundational program, which is all about money mindset and abundance and money habits. So that's getting your final house in order. But that program, it is a standalone course, but it's also included with the Queendom and Empire programs because it's so important. So Queendom is our flagship crypto and DeFi program. And then there's Empire, which I'm launching in the second quarter, which is about technical analysis and small group live training on charts and, easy, moderate ways to get in using the whole trading view platform. So good entry and exit points, very important, critical for traders.
That's it. Wonderful. So you heard it here. Visit queensof.capital. That's it. And Twitter. You have a Twitter.
We do have a Twitter. Yes, Twitter. So I'm new to tweeting, but there you go. So Quoc Empress. So that's QOC for Queens of Capital, Empress. And that's us on Twitter.
There you go. So if you've listened to this episode and you've enjoyed it, please go and say hi on Twitter. And is there anything else you'd like to throw out there to mention? Anything that I forgot? Anything you forgot?
No, don't think I've forgotten anything. I probably think of many things that we could have talked about after this is over, but I'm really, really grateful. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you. I'm very excited about the year ahead. And I think, this is a really wonderful time to investigate the world of crypto if you haven't already. Reach out to us, ask questions. Like I said, nothing is richer than the community. So there's a lot of good advice. And also, like, YouTube is a wonderful place to find out a lot about crypto if you've never really investigated it. So,
absolutely.
Great people sharing good things about it. Honest people. Look at them.
Absolutely. Oh, Plax, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I've learned a lot myself, and I know anyone listening to this is going to learn a huge amount. So thank you again. And hopefully we'll talk soon. Might even have to do a part 2 because, like you said, there's so much to talk about.
Would love to.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.